So Yo will make his way up, and he needs to get Lombos out quick and across. The problem is his opponent, directly reflected opposite of him, is going to be the French player. I think this is the worst case scenario. I think you prefer to be up against the Mongol player who doesn't have a clear option against Longbows at this stage in the game. But being up against the French player, it's very easy for him to go into Knights and force you to early transition into Spears before you have a critical mass of Longbows. In the meantime, Dinkey moving in, just harassing a little bit. Need to be very careful when you do this against England. If they bring 1 or 2 scouts out, they can already count you out with good micro. But it's even easier for England because, of course, their villagers fire. You can see the 5 damage, right? They actually all carry bows. They're able to attack targets with it. It's a nice little edge that can actually allow you to buffer off these early aggressions that we've seen a lot more players engage with in recent tournaments via the animation cancelling with the scouts. Koala on the move to the north. Both of them did go into the Spears. It's home field, so Vegie will have the advantage and should feel well protected here. So I don't expect too much aggression. They're just mirroring each other out. Really where the difference maker is going to be is in the southwest, where we have England and France. But as I said, I think this is an inherent disadvantage for the southern player here, for the English player. The difference maker can be if they're quick. If they join up, then you can have ViVi, which, by the way, for those wondering who ViVi is, he's the player in green here, because I know he has got a name that isn't in English. ViVi is the difference maker here. If he brings his French Knights across to the left flank and pushes in with the England player, they could very easily overwhelm Dinkey before reinforcements arrive. Because remember, Seither's playing Rus, so he's playing for a later timing. And that's what we talked about early on, right? Is when you are drafting England in this composition, White Wolf's goal is to shut someone out of the game by around 10 minutes or 12 maximum. If they miss that timing at all, this heavily backfires in favor of Get on the Deer. Because if you try to fall back to just eco-booming as the English, it leaves you very vulnerable to these raids that will come out from the trip cavalry composition. Speaking of cavalry, Dinkey already moving in and already pressuring a bit. I like this shutdown. This is the player that you're worried about, right? We'll lose the scout for it. But this is intentional. He could go after the French player. He could go after the Mongol player. It's a little bit difficult, especially with the Mongol player, because he has spears. But the more important thing is, by default, you're offered the most crucial element to the early game. If you slow down Yo's economy, it's going to stunt the growth of his longbow army. And it means that that window we talked about is going to close very quickly. Nice, riding in on each other. Spearman looking to engage. And an edge for Koala as he did upgrade into the hardened status, and it means that Vegie has to keep retreating. Vegie hasn't even teched up yet. Oh, this is bad. And his outpost, he needs to rush it to get it up. And he needs to be fast, and I don't think he's quick enough. He needs to cancel it before they tap it once. Spearman going to push him off, though. Good enough for the moment. He needs this outpost down now. Because his opponent hit it once with a torch, if he deletes it now, it means that Koala gets the raiding bonus. He gets the 50 food and the 50 gold. So it does buffer him off enough. So now he has the number advantage, and it means that Koala is in a little bit of a predicament. Koala in this situation, he's still waiting on his Khan to come back up. It got sniped out early. That's why he wasn't able to push in here. Vegie will finally reach up into Tech 2. Question is, has Koala made a switch over? He should be switching into archers, and there it is. Archery range already dropped. He's going to have the edge. He's going to need it. The Khan is coming up soon. He's going to be the one-on-one, though. His goal is to keep Vegie out of the equation, and then they're looking to 2v1 onto Dinkey King, or maybe dive Seither if Dinkey isn't able to guard him. But the timing is off. Look at this. Seither with a pristine timing here, almost pre-8 minutes at this point, already prepping all the archery ranges, going up to 4 instantly. Abbey of Trinity is going to be complete at 8 minutes and 3 seconds. And the window's closing. You're on the clock now. You have about 3 minutes to find pressure. Yo has a decent amount of longbow, but now needs to use them. They have a long way to run. Already a bunch out in the field. Dinkey could try and charge in on this. With 3 knights, you could kill all these longbows, but he could just wait. He's trying to regroup. You can see he's pulling them back across because Dinkey was patrolling the center of the map. This is usually the role of the French player. You're on patrol duty. You tend to like cover the entire mass. You're looking out for this detail right here. He was trying to spot ViVi moving across, and ViVi is going to snake right past him without him knowing. Meanwhile, in the east, numbers are in favor of Vegie, but remember that transition. The archer's starting to come out. Yam is there, and bad Koala. This is his bad mistake. He didn't drop a forward outpost. He doesn't have the Yam movement speed, but luckily for him, neither does Vegie anymore. Oh, Vegie does still have the numbers. Vegie should be transitioning. No, he's sticking on spears. Vegie's going, oh wow, he's going greedy now. This is cool. Remember, the cool thing about the Rus is their greed factor passes very quickly. So you already have this situation where Seither is now ready to get involved and aggressive, and that frees up economy space in the trip line, right, in the free, for one of you to be greedy. And they've chosen to make the greed factor Vegie. Vegie is going to quick tech up into Castle, vastly ahead of Koala. Koala is trying to fix that now, though, but he's stopping off for additional troops on the way. Meanwhile, in the west, Dinkey King just repelling 2 players at the same time. This is his goal. He's not meant to kill them outright. Now he's meant to delay while Vegie goes greedy. Right now, Dinkey's doing a phenomenal job. And he never went for the pro scouts. But look, he was provided those deer carcasses we talked about. This is what Seither is so pristine at doing. And because of the pasture play coming out from Vegie, because he didn't stop off the archery range, he doesn't need the same quantity of deer carcasses dropped off. They did drop him some in the end, but now with 4 pastures, he's going to be able to self-sustain. And the step redoubt is underway. And he's ahead of Koala. Koala hasn't even started yet. So he will have the edge, and they're going to need him quickly. Rams being built in the meantime. They're looking to ramp up the pressure. They want to shut out Dinkey soon. Dinkey hesitant to go in, even when he has the knight advantage right now. He needs reinforcements first, and here they are, Seither wrapping around, and they bait them in. They allow them to go deeper. And in with a backstab. Dinkey needs to ride in. Charge is going to come out. He has the numbers in his favor. And Seither will look to re-engage. He went a little bit too early, but now they are looking to group up for this. Push in. Horse archers sticking on top of the Lombos. 1 or 2 of the knights peel off and go straight for the back line. The ram is moving in, but they just don't care. They're going to mince the entire army in this main fight. More knights coming in. ViVi trying to even it up. Dinkey King on the home field, though, does have the edge, but here's the reinforcements. Yo with a second group of longbows arriving. They are going to start to fixate the arrows and notch them straight towards the back line of horse archers. Seither needs to be careful. Needs to out-micro here. Dinkey definitely having the edge, though. The counter's in his favor, and they needed a few spearmen out here. A few spear could have changed everything about this, but instead, it is going to be a forced retreat as Yo can't hang around anymore. ViVi taking his time, peeling and pulling back. He's just trying to cover the retreat. He doesn't want to sacrifice the entire Lombo army as he realizes how weak that will leave Yo. But he might not have a choice. These trades aren't good. Look what's happening here. He's taking too much damage. And you have to remember how little damage these Longbows do. The Horse Archers do 12. The Lombos do 7. The missile resistance is at 3. You're negating almost 50% of the Lombo damage. And it means that you're getting better trades. Now they will finally look to pull back. Horse Archers in retreat. Dinkey gets away. But when we look at the military trade, you can see Dinkey done a phenomenal job there. ViVi was just cannon fodder waiting to die. Yo got some decent value as well. But overall, you can see the trades are in favor of Get on the Deer. Meanwhile, on the east side, back and forth for this poking and prodding. Vegie still did not stop off for the Archers. Remember, he did get that tech up a little bit ahead of Koala, but Koala is now up in Castle as well. Now rate of fire arrows. Bit of a problem. Vegie's going to spend the whole army. It is covering him as he switches into Lancers, though. Meanwhile, Koala, has he done similar? Yeah. Trip stable drop. He's rushing it out quickly. Did he get dropped off Deer as well? I don't think he did. Really big difference here. I don't think any of these players went for Pro Scouts. Okay, no. V did in the end. I think V must have dropped off maybe some food over at Yo, or he just went ultra greedy. If he went ultra greedy, I'm really not a fan here. I think it's very crucial that you drop some carcasses off at the base of your England player. You need him to get as many of these longbows out as possible. And if he's more efficient on his food gathering early on, he'll be able to afford additional longbows into his through his economy at this stage of the game. But instead, you see it every time. It's like, bye, these all belong to me now. At this stage, it's more understandable as the farms are starting to be switched into. But I definitely think before this, it was a big mistake that V didn't share the wealth, instead just gathering it all for himself. Meanwhile, on the north, Seither just returning the goodies. Remember, he's the only one likely to get these relics. He already has 3 of them. And yeah, there it is, Monastery, because he wants to bank more. Nobody else is going to go for these. Everyone else has slow movers, right? No one in this game has a Rapido-type Monk unit. The closest you've got is the Mongols with the outpost giving Yam to speed up that Monk a tiny bit. But it's just not worth it. It's such an open battlefield. It'd take too long to get a return. And you don't want to waste 200 wood and then 150 gold out of your economy at this stage for something that's going to take so long to return dividends. Lancers fight in the meantime. Vegie with slight edge. Everyone just taking their own little proxy walls over on the sides, right? There's no hard commitment. There's no 3-on-3 just yet. We did have that 2-on-2, but I don't expect us to get to a 3-on-3 for another 5 minutes yet. Vegie, need to be careful though. In a bit too deep. He went in range of the Yam, and this is the problem. This is the delicate balance of Mongol and Mongol. It comes down to outpost crawls, and outpost crawls are what Vegie is now committing to. He's moving forward with aggressive outposts, something that hasn't been matched by his counterpart. Koala has always played static as a result. Retreat away. Main fight going on. Oh, wow. They jumped in deep. Seither. Good trades coming out by the looks of it, though, judging by the carcass count. More or less an even trade. But Dinkey, look what Dinkey's doing now. V, he's burning himself. He's spending himself. He doesn't have enough knights. He's still outnumbered by Dinkey. And now look at the eco side. We saw this from Dinkey before. This is the thing that Get on the Deer are really good at doing. They complement each other. They cover each other's tech ups. And it means that Dinkey can easily go up into the castle age in a matter of moments. But looks like instead, I think he doubled down. Yeah, he spams more knights. But that means his surplus is going to be more useful than what it is going to be for V right now. I say that V, wow, he snakes it. With the Palisades down and with such a spawn amount of knights, instead of trying to defend himself, he's going to tech up, and now he has the lead over Dinkey. Dinkey does start to refund, though. And he's dropping a TC, so he's going to boom up. Dinkey's going to delay the castle age, but the amount of time it's now going to take V to get across the map should allow him enough time to tech up himself and then have a superior economy to support more stables than that of the French green player. Bad Koala count now up to 13. Where are the Lancers for Vegie? Vegie, keeping pace right now. Very delicate state. That outpost needs to go down. It looks like Vegie's going to take a more guarded one at first. And this is bad for Koala. Koala's going to bait himself in if he's not careful. Look at you. You've got the Yam. You can't take this fight. It's a bad fight. You need to retreat away right now. The chase is coming in. He has got the maneuver arrow. He might need to use it. And there it is, actually coming out of Vegie first. He baits his opponent out a little bit, still away from the range of Yam. Now they'll engage. Not peeling off, not trying to actually min-max these units. They're just stacked on top of each other. And right now, Vegie not necessarily getting the best trade. That might turn around soon, but he can't hang around to find out. The attempt to put down the outpost is going to be a big fat fail. But here are the reinforcements. Seither, he's arriving. Vegie baited his opponent in, but the maneuver arrow will get Koala away. Meanwhile, in the base of the English player, the raids are in. Dinkey, he pounces while they're not looking. Strikes at a few villagers and gets out before trouble finds him. And now, yo, how are we looking? 46 eco for comparison. Dinkey up at 58. You expect that lead when you're talking about a French player. And I expect, yeah, V is matching him neck and neck right now. The England player, full defensive, now dropping the Palisades, needs to actually extend. He needs to not be a liability. We talked about this. This is the weakness, right? If you can't find that value early on, you become very static, and you just become this thing that your teammates always have to look after. And that's why he's dropping the Palisades. He doesn't want to be that vulnerability on the south side. He wants to extend down here, get greedy, and look to recover around mid-castle or Imperial. That is when England bounces back. If you can't utilize this point in the game for them, they need to fall back to that much later timing. Meantime, Boar's now being sniped. Seither up to 830 bounty. Phenomenal number for him here. This is the other risk when you play a game and you don't mirror the roost, is unless you're willing to dedicate yourself to hunting all the deer and the wolves and all that kind of chaos, and there's so much to hunt, especially the wolves when it's such a big map, then he's always going to crack tier 3 bounty and then almost double up on it. Charge in, Seither arriving. Yo has the Lombos in position. Lancers are charging in. They don't have the Yam speed, though. They're very dedicated. Yo doesn't really have the Lombo count he's looking for, though. There's more Horse Archers here, and there's the Warrior Monks. And they can make a big difference and a big dent. And your economy gets exposed. Koala in for a retreat. Use the defense arrow to try and back off without taking too many casualties. Lombos have finally arrived, but Seither able to back off, and that's going to peel them off. Vegie jumps in straight away without hesitation. And it means that Koala has to split up because his economy is exposed. He has to take half the Lancers to engage with the Horse Archers. And look at the reinforcements. Dinkey wrapping around the back under Yo's army. He's going to pinch him behind between a rock and a hard place here. And there's nowhere to run. Your eco is exposed. Your allies can't defend you. Bad Koala is now in dire straits. And there is too many of them. The reinforcements haven't arrived yet. V's still trying to get more across. He never really fully reached that potential of his veteran Royal Knights. It felt like he was always outnumbered. And with so many Horse Archers, they really are the difference here. Yo finally cracks up in the castle, but he will not have an army to upgrade. And this game is looking almost done at this stage. You have no way to get them out of your base. Seither has a crap ton of Horse Archers left. Yes, there's not much to burn your buildings down, but Vegie's fixing that fast. More of these Lancers coming through. Spearman as well. He can easily burn down all the infrastructure, but instead they go raiding. They're interested in installing the entire economy. Yes, getting rid of the military buildings would be good, but just stopping them from even gathering to be able to get units out of those buildings is better. And that's why they burn down these outposts, these squishy outposts that are full of villagers. Meanwhile, in the French base, they break through the trees! Oh my god, V. He didn't wall this off. He makes it even easier to get in and snipe out all these villies. And I think they've done it. This is too much anarchy. They're trying to return the favor in the base of Dinkey, but Dinkey with 2 TCs and a defensive force of horse archers here is not bothered. And funnily enough, it's the England player that's just been ignored for good reason as well. He teched up in the back of his base. He has a static force. He can never reinforce. And once again, cavalry is going to reign supreme here on Dry Arabia as Get on the Deer are going to take the first of this best of 5. Map number 2 is about to get underway. Now, for those who need a little bit of recap, Get on the Deer did take game 1 with the full meta strat on Dry Arabia, but game 2 is going to be a twister a little bit because Get on the Deer were not expecting this. They even mentioned it in the chat. They were caught off guard when the choice for map number 2 coming out from WWP was Danube River. Danube River that we already know is a Delhi home map. It is where they feel most at power, and we are going to actually get treated to Delhi on both sides. But we're also going to get HRE on both sides, as this composition is kind of the meta. The variable, the curveball, the difference is usually when we talk about the third civ, and that is where we're going to get the deviation, because we're going to have a lot more aggression early on coming out from Get on the Deer, as they opted to put Seither on England. Meanwhile, on the other side, WWP being 1 game down, they went for that scalability a little bit later in the game. They chose China. And here we go. Underway, folks. Game 2, like we said, Get on the Deer already 1 up. And I've got to say, I like this composition in this matchup. There's a lot of kind of tempo aggression that can be applied to your opponents. I do think it gives a good kind of staging point from which Get on the Deer could easily crack this game and be 2 up already. It really is going to be on WWP to offset the aggression and choose who's going to be the sacrificial lamb. Because I believe we saw this exact combo that is being ran by the Get on the Deer lads in the South in a series earlier on in this tournament. And what happened in that one is one team played it perfectly, where they actually balanced the level of aggression and they sacrificed one of the players early. And I believe that was Ethan fans that done that. Meanwhile, the other team chose everyone should be greedy. And I don't think you can really ever get away with that. It's very rare that you're able to have all 3 players on your team be ultra greed. Someone has to be the bottom, right? Someone has to be the feeder in this situation. And I think that's the beauty of having Seither in England. And it's interesting they put Seither on England, because if England is going to be the sacrificial lamb, he's their best player. He's the player that usually gets a bit more flex to choose what he's going to do. But it seems that Seither's taken this responsibility for that very reason, right? They've identified that he's the power player. He probably will do a better job of microing and positioning his English longbowman in the early phase of the game. Meanwhile, WWP, because they did choose to go for China, they have a powerful timing around castle, mid-castle when they get into lances. The problem they have is they have to balance this greed. It's very easy to bait yourself into the trap, right? You have a lot of power in Castle Imperial with this free, and you have a lot of access to getting there. The problem is all of them want to be there, right? HRE is the most dead obvious one. They want to boom straight up as quickly as possible into Imperial. Delhi really come online when they get access to Castle and they get into the compound defender and able to build in the field with their troops. And then finally, you have China. China that loves to just boom up on the TC front and then boom up into the Castle Age when they get access to the double Castle landmark and then get the hands on the Yuan Dynasty for the additional movement speed in conjunction with those Fire Lancers that have been known to brutalize their opponents. And their opponents are very brutalizable, right? You can tenderize this meat quite easily, because one detail we have to keep in mind here, when we do look over at the Australian lads in the South, they picked Delhi and they've picked HRE. And you know what those two have in common, right? Delhi and HRE, one big issue they have with Fire Lancers or cavalry in general is that neither of them have spearmen that brace. And that means that China can get a hell of a lot of value at that later phase of the game. But the interesting part is with ViVi being centered on the outskirts here, put on the outskirts here, and having Koala being centered in the middle of this formation with the HRE player retracted in the back where it's safest, it seems like ViVi might be the player to come under fire first. And it's interesting that they do this, considering in the first game, ViVi was their greed factor, right? On the other side, it was Seither, but we already talked about the complementary way he plays. Seither is usually the greed player on his team, but he actually doesn't min-max that greed to the same extent other people do, right? He doesn't just try to milk it for 20 minutes, like we see time and time out again out of a lot of these compositions, a lot of these teams. Instead, Seither's very much a giving player. He reaches his power spike, and then he gives back to his teammates. And that's why I think it's a more natural fit for him to be playing the aggressive Civ in this composition. And it's going to be interesting to see how ViVi is going to match that. ViVi already going on to the Docklands. Really big edge that you have here. And Seither, look, he's going to beat them to the punch of the walls. Wow, this shape as well. Okay, this is really cool. He's trying to deny them having any access to dropping their own wall here. He's always going to block them off. But look, he will move past. He will be able to actually wall this in the end. It just means that with this positioning from Seither, there's no way around for them. Walls will be complete. Seither will look to back up for the moment. Lombos aren't coming out. Seither is playing greedy, actually. This is interesting. So usually the play for England is you make this very hard choice between... Oh, wow, he keeps it open. Yeah, it's so well played from Seither. But he does cancel it. Wait, what? That was fine. Why did he cancel that? I like that wall. That wall was going to prevent ViVi from totally walling this off. And that's important, right? Because you're in a deli matchup. There's deli on each side. So they can actually move in and snipe out your ships quickly with the fishing boats. So actually putting this small wall here prevents ViVi. But there we go. He just moves down. I think Seither missed a trick here. He could have continued the wall down, and he would have blocked off all this, but now ViVi is able to actually keep that equal control alongside Seither over who can move through this pass. So let's fall back to the other detail we were looking at right before that happened, which is that Seither did go into the water. The reason he'd done this is because it's such a big map. And the reason why I'm highlighting it is because usually when you're talking about England in these water hybrid maps, they have a tendency to ignore the water in one-on-ones. The reason being is it slows down your tech up timing. You actually want to land muck as quickly as possible to get your archers out. The longer you wait, the smaller your point in the game where you dominate, right, with your lombos. So the fact that he stopped off for the dock is simply because it's too big of a map to simply rush Council Hall and get immediate value. So instead, he chooses to buffer his economy. He is now teching up. He's not going to be the first, though. Koala will beat him to the punchline as the deli player will take the lead. And scouts in position. Really important to keep these scouts around the stealth forest. There will be a sneak attempt made at some point. And here it is, Lix moving across right now. This is really cool as well. So, of course, playing as the HRE, you have this tendency to play greedy in your corner. You don't have to do what he's doing here. You can just chill, look to go Castle, Imperial, come back later. But instead, he's moved a villager out. He's now prepped to drop a dock at the back here, and it won't be seen because remember, even in 3-on-3s, the way this formation works is one team is pushed up into the corner, the other is centralized. And in this case, it's actually the Aussies that are centralized, which means it's unlikely they have anyone docked right in the corner here. This same type of move couldn't be attempted by the Aussie lads here, because if Get on the Deer tried to run to the north here and drop a dock, you can see, due to the fact that Lix is stuck right in the corner here, he will always have a dock nearby and would spot any attempt for you to aggressively dock next to him. Tech up's underway, Lix. You can see the patience. He's not going to reveal his hand, so he's going to wait until he begins Castle Age tech up, and then he'll move out, drop a dock, and then look to spam out Hulks. And this could brutalize the entire economical line of Get on the Deer in the blink of an eye. So they need to be fast to match this. Dinkey is behind Lix right now. This is troublesome. Generation seemed a little bit more condensed for Lix. Yeah, you can see this difference, right? So one detail to keep in mind is the food gathering. The sheep are brought on the northern side. There's no one gathering on land, but he does shift across now. I think originally maybe Dinkey was a little bit more split. Usually when you're playing HRE, one of the biggest details in your early game that can improve things is optimizing the prelate's walk pattern. You want him to spend the least amount of time idle walking behind, between two locations, right? And that means that usually you want, say, for example, your gold line, if it was on the north side of the TC here, you should have your sheep being gathered on the north side as well. So that difference maker of like 4 or 5 seconds going back and forth in between is extra time the prelate can buff additional villages for you. And here's the sneak. Koala so quick across. This is a big deal. You can't let him get this down. Remember, the outposts do get bonus damage up against boats. So this going down could cripple you entirely. And they see it as well. They know this is happening. Where is the deli player? Oh, no. He's on a coffee break. He's moved across now, though. He's quick. And they should be able to get the village up, but they need to focus fire on him. One more hit. No, they can't get him. Vegie needs to commit. Strike, and he will get it just as he dies. Really big deal there. That denial is important. That would have stunted their entire economy on water, but they're still at risk. And that risk has now been covered. Vegie, he did move up into the north. He's a little bit paranoid. The scout did spot out what was happening, but now look, it's still going to go down. They do see this, though. They should react. The scout could snipe this out if he moves right now. Meanwhile, south side. ViVi's through. ViVi actually made it through. He dropped a 4 dock! And Seither's going to be denied. And it's frustrating. Up against the junks, they have decent range, 5 tower range, a decent amount of health and resistance. So Seither right now doesn't have enough longbowmen to put a dent in this. It's problematic. Meanwhile, more docks being dropped by Dinkey, just trying to inflate his economy. Remember, one cool thing about the HRE is they're able to afford additional docks quicker than other civs due to how efficient their early economy is. But as it stands, there's big problems for Dinkey. Dinkey, underway with his tech up, but already behind Lix, and Lix is gathering up those relics. In fact, he's already out in the field. He's grabbed one, and I think he's about to get a second one soon. Nice placement by Dinkey as well. Dinkey covering these. Already has scouts ready to guard against the most likely contested relics. And more villagers coming out from Koala. He wants to resume this. There needs to be a defense soon, though. But they're all distracted in the south. This is really well played by ViVi. ViVi is dragging all the attention, and that means that Koala should be able to sneak the outpost, which will shut down the entire economy of Dinkey in the center here. Seither right now with his galleys. Not a choice we often see made by England. Like we said, they don't like to play onto the dock line too often. In this case, someone had to do so. And the Lombo's the edge here. It's only 2 missile resistance, which means you're getting 4 damage through with each volley. And it is the difference maker, as we can see. Meanwhile, in the north, boats are starting to come out. And Lix, is he going to make boom ships is the question. They didn't counter this. They never actually went and struck at the villager, despite the fact they should have seen it. Vegie not in a position to deal with this yet, and he's going to start to suffer. The boom ships are going to be cancelled for the moment. Lix isn't getting too aggressive, but Vegie is now teched up. So up in Castle Age, he can get the boom ships out, and he can deny this dock. Meanwhile, on the south, dance continues. Focus fire onto the dock, slowly getting through it. And this is frustrating for ViVi. ViVi can't take the fight at all, even on the home field. He's going to try and push in now, but these galleys are tanky. 5 missile resistance compared to your 2. The Lombos do need to be a bit careful, but as long as they skirt range, they'll always be the edge that gives Seither the win. Although this is a big deal for ViVi. Moves out with the Horseman. Nice play here. That's going to counter out the Lombos. Most of them are going to die. And that means he can move out with the junk fleet and push towards that eco line. And the outpost did go down in the end. Hulks have now started to be spammed out by Dinkey, but Dinkey can't hang around with just one Hulk at a time to get through these. Instead, he needs to shift south and get ViVi off the water fast. ViVi still stuck away from a tech up. Right now, only 3 players in this game teched up. Make that 4 now. Koala will make his way up, and now it is going to be 2 players on each side up in Castle. Meanwhile, Seither and ViVi still just playing their role as the bottom right. They're meant to be the aggressors, they're meant to be the space creators, but they need to find space for themselves to get into this game now. And it might be easier for China. I think China compared to England in this situation, you're now comfortable. There was never any early aggression. It was offset, which means that Seither has been kept in his own base, defensively trying to hold their side of the river and never able to pressure into the economies, which is what you want to be doing with these Lombos. Going forward archery range now. Oh, this is dangerous. Koala. He's about to cause a lot of anarchy for Get on the Deer. Right, with this forward archery range, he can spam out the Tower Elephants. And then he can siege through the palisades and get to the docks. This is dangerous. They need a counter. They need it soon. Meanwhile, in the north, Hulks are coming out. And the Bagglers, this is not a good feeling. Explosive Dow can move out, though. Detonation, good. Gets you low. 27 health on that Hulk, though. Whoopsie. They need to finish it off. The fishing boats are not going to be good enough, either. They're being outdone by the heel of the dock. This is frustrating. Lix is getting incredible value out of this Hulk. And in the center, Sacred Sight's now being capped. No one on that southern one, though. Fight underway. Hulk just tanking all the fire from the junk, but you need to be using the galleys for that. The galleys are falling back for the moment. The Lombos are in range. They can never get rid of him, though. A little bit troublesome. Not enough damage does the dock. Nowhere near enough, in fact. He can't afford to lose these Hulks. It's quite pricey at this stage. Quite the big investment. And the walls now being dropped. Koala so much quicker into the center. And this is the difference maker. This is what is giving White Wolf control of this game. It's the fact that they played immediately into the central island. Something that was not matched at all by Get on the Deer. And that's a fatal error. Most of these games end up decided by that central island. And Dinkey, oh no. The Prelate is going to get sniped out. And meanwhile, Lix is able to snatch one from the center here. Lix currently sitting on 3 relics. And on the other side, Dinkey, he does get 3. So he's getting the max cap of gold he can. The rest is just a nice little gold trickle extra of 100. So no one got denied out in the end. I'm starting to feel like Seither is being denied out this game. Look at the difference here. Lix cracks up into Imperial first. And of course, ViVi, he went up to Castle. Seither is stuck. Seither needs to fix this soon. But how? He's stuck investing so much in the galleys. He's stuck on the fishing count as well because of these Stonewall Towers in the central island, and I'm starting to feel like Seither is going to be lost in this game very quickly. Push through with the junks. Open a fire. They're blocking themselves off. Definitely not optimal out of ViVi. He might be Chinese, but it doesn't mean he's going to optimize his Chinese plays, as half of his Hulks can't even fire right now. Needed to get closer, but still gets through the Hulk in the end. Meanwhile, in the center, here it is. This is the danger. Koala also getting the Siege Workshop down with the Mangonel. Shots coming out onto the dock line. 2 tower elephants moving around, trying to deny Vegie. He's trying to sneak in here with the stone wall, but he can't get the tower down. He will be denied. And now this is getting dangerous. This is 2/3 of the map in the control of White Wolf. I need to see something soon out of Get on the Deer, but it's starting to feel like they missed their timing. And look at this play out of Koala. How often do we get treated to aggressive TC drops? Not very often. But on such a big map, there's huge bang for buck here. Koala is going to drop a TC on the central island. And meanwhile, look at what's happening on these levels. Dinkey King, he still hasn't teched up yet. He currently has it underway, but he's so far behind Lix. And Lix has scaled beyond him. Dinkey now sitting at 51. When we look across at Lix up at 68, and he'll keep that lead for quite a while yet. The waterfront, Stonewall Towers making the difference. And tech up, finally underway. A white tower out of Seither. Oh no. Seither's done in this game. He's just cannon fodder now. It's 2.5 versus 3 at this point. Seither's a very talented player, but his ability to scale is just gone. He's going to build a TC on the side, but I think you need a 3rd TC at the stage. Because I expect, yeah, China's boosting up now. It's up to 3 TCs. And I believe, did he go back for the Bargainer Sun? No. But he's already on 3 TCs ahead of you, which means he's going to scale better. And now he's going to move across into the Knights and the Lancers. In fact, I'm lying. These belong to Lix. Lix has a 4 base. Another detail I'd like to see. This is really impressive out of White Wolf Palace, rather. I think what they're doing, what a lot of teams don't do, a lot of players don't do, is they don't utilize their teammates' base as a 4 base of operations. And it's such a big detail. Think about how quicker Lix is going to be able to replenish his troops on the front line because his base is stationed here instead of all the way back in this corner. It's actually a very big difference. And it's same for Koala. Because he gets his 4 base down, yes, it's a little bit risky, 150 would a pop, but it means these elephants that are so static at 0.88 are quick to move across into the battlefield. And boom ships coming out again. Vegie moving up into the north. Needs to get through these. Detonates 1, detonates 2, but it's not good enough. The difference maker is Lix. Lix, he's pushing these out. These DAOs, or demo ships rather, they have the explosive tech. They do big damage. They're about to give the Buku bucks as well. He can detonate it here and kill off all the man-at-arms. We'll see if he does, though. Lix, does he see that? Yeah, he sees this. Interesting that he hasn't engaged with it, though. Moving upriver instead. Boom ships on the side, getting through the outposts. Elephants keeping at range, though. Boom ships coming out. All sacred sites are now capped and under the influence of WWP. We'll update that now. So it's about 1640 that they triggered it. 10 minutes away from victory here, and evening up the score 1-1. Let's see if they can do it. This was their choice. They optimized. They knew what they wanted to do on Danube. And it's starting to feel like Get on the Deer are looking like headless chickens. Everything is reactionary. Nothing is proactive. And that's the difference that's going to matter here. Lix now riding forward with these Elite Knights. Dinkey King finally techs up. Should be able to match him. TC spamming continues out of Seither. He's starting to reach that scalability, but they're going to run out of time quickly here. So they need to be careful. Only Palisades to defend them, and he hasn't even completed all of them yet. And that means that there is going to be an option for Lix to move into the economy. But look at this. The movement from Seither goes in onto Koala as well. But Koala, of course, already having multi-TCs, isn't going to be too phased by this. But Seither needed some value out of them. The longbows weren't really serving a purpose anymore. And this will at least stall Koala a bit. But Koala definitely has the reserves to push on through. It's not wood that's important for him right now. It's just golden food. Golden food to build up the army of war elephants. The Mangonels are nice, but the elephants are what matters. Meanwhile, Raiden, they catch him building the walls. Seither, he was greedy. He didn't want to pull people off of the production line, so he didn't have many people building up the palisades. And it means that now Lix has access for raiding, and he's going to push it. And he also moves forward for the Siege Workshop, so he's looking to break through the base. The backside, the Lombos will finally come to an end. Decent amount of villagers sniped. Definitely found their value. Elephants are in, though. The transport ships! Koala with a quick play to move across. He denies the keep going down from Vegie. But he's backing out. He's paranoid. He doesn't want to be pushed up against the coast here with boom ships coming out. So show some respect and back up just in time before the demo ships can move in from Dinkey. Dinkey trying to get in range. The detonation! The damage! Oh my god! Just like that, elephants just became an endangered species. The range on this explosives tech, without hesitation, Dinkey will sink the elephant army on the land. And that is a step back for Koala, a time to reflect. He definitely has surplus resources to replace this with, but it's going to take time. And that might offer up an opportunity for the lads in the south to rise up and overthrow China. Licks, though, trying to keep them pinned in their cage, dropping the forward keep, looking to set up a full base of operations. They're going to have to deal with attacks on two sides, but now they need to try and push out into the central island. Bombard's moving out, trying to deal with these walls that have been built up by Koala. It's a step in the right direction, but they still need 3 more if they want to be back in this game. And remember, that victory... Oh, apologies, I just see it said Wonder. That Sacred Site victory is ticking down right now. Great spelling of sacred by me. Shout out to the English education system. We know how to capitalize. More knights riding in. Not able to easily get past the White Tower, and the White Tower is now building into the Knights, so England trying to get a little bit frisky, a little bit mobile themselves. They're going to need to. They need to play for the south side. It's going to be hard fought for, though. Lick's already out here stonewalling this up. Walls will go down. Will cost him 1 or 2 villages, but Seither can afford this now. He went to 3 TCs at the end, so he's able to boom up and replace quite quickly. Central Island, some progress being made. Alleviating pressure, starting to get back onto the waterfront, getting rid of these Stonewall Towers, and most of the docks are gone. In fact, all the docks are gone. So no aggressive plays coming out from WWP anymore. But the deer are not out of the woods yet. Now, usually that's a good thing. That's the home. But in this situation, they want to thrive. They want to move out into the battlefield. They are war deers. And elephants, what are they good for? Definitely not nothing. Definitely sieging. They're very good for sieging. Siege Workshop will die fast here. Town Center is going to be exposed. Koala is going to pull back. And they might lose the Sacred Site here. I don't know if they can hold this. After that big dent, after that play out of Dinkey annihilating the elephant army, all of a sudden, the deer boys are back. And there is nothing deer about them. They are not fragile. They are bucks. Stallions. Riding out. Koala gets 1 more elephant out. That's going to get poked and prodded down. The waterfront. Barely contested anymore. They haven't invested in it. They're in on land. They're getting the full base. The Fire Lancers now in elite status are coming out from ViVi. 3 players in this game remain in Castle Age, 2 of them being on the side of the Aussies. And those elite knights are going to start riding in. More walls going down. The desperation out of Seither is starting to show. He needs assistance. They're riding in. Bombards are going to show up on the front. White Tower in a little bit of trouble. Defenses, burning them all alive. Tech up is going to be there for Koala, so now the pressure is really starting to rack up as all 3 players on WWP have reached Imperial. And when the White Tower goes down, there's going to be a flood through, and they're out of position, remember. One of their players is the Deli. He's static. He's slow. He's moving across in the center. He's gaining ground, but is it going to be quick enough? They need to reinforce in the south because the army is coming. The Fire Lancers have arrived, and there is a lot of them, and Seither is about to be exposed on all fronts. And I think this ride-through, this is going to kill him. The TC, the Council Hall, all of it is exposed, and they're not in position at all. This ride-through, this patience, the amassment from ViVi, this may just instantly win them the game by annihilating Seither. And the damage is done. Looking at 55 damage per strike. There is no way your buildings can hold on. Vegie will surrender. They will all give up. And WWP make the right choice here on Danube to even the score up at 1-1.